Hi everyone. Just a couple of seconds while I go live everywhere else. Hi everyone. Sorry for the delay. I had some problems on other channels, but I hope that we're all live now. I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds to see people joining in. I already see Alessandro. I see Claudio, which is really good. I was going to say that I had some issues with other channels to go live, but Andrea and Colombe from far away helped me. So really, really glad. I'm just going to wait just a couple of seconds whilst more people come in, but I hope everyone is doing well. The lockdown in London is going okay. We're still in lockdown. Some restrictions have been lifted, but we're still pretty much closed at home, which is fine. But you know, it's been quite a long time. I see Anita, I see Andrea joining. So hi everyone. I wanted to start it today with a bit of an update on our campaign. So as you may know, last week we launched a campaign called Health Workers First. So it's been literally a week since we launched it, and we were really happy with what we've been achieving so far and how the campaign is going. So I wanted to quickly give you a bit of an update on it. And then I thought that perhaps I could answer some questions if anyone has any questions, or otherwise I thought that I could discuss with you a news that came out today that I found really interesting. So I would start and go ahead with the update on the campaign. So on Tuesday last week, we launched a petition to demand that the WHO guarantee access to a COVID-19 vaccine whenever a vaccine is ready. And we asked for the priority access to be given to health workers. So those are doctors, nurses, anyone who's in the healthcare. The reason why we asked for that is because it's been really, really great to see everyone cheering for their doctors and their nurses from everywhere in the world. But we wanted to take this a step ahead, and we wanted to actually do something and have our voice heard by the WHO. And if you don't know, I didn't know this before we started the campaign, but the distribution of vaccine is really unfair. And we've seen with other epidemics that a lot of countries tend to buy the vaccines, and then the rest of the population is kind of left behind. And so what we demanded with our petition to the WHO is that health workers across the world, regardless of their nationality, get priority access to a COVID-19 vaccine whenever the vaccine is ready, of course. So that was the first step of the campaign that we did on Tuesday. We started a campaign, and we've gathered together an amazing coalition of influential health workers. So you can check out on our website all the doctors and nurses that we have. But we're so excited because these are the same people that, you know, we've been looking up in the news, and those are the people that have been fighting in the front line to fight the coronavirus pandemic. So we've been really, really happy and, you know, thankful for the support that they've given us and they've given to our campaign. And we think that that really speaks to the why we wanted to do this campaign. We wanted to do this campaign specifically for the health workers, doctors, nurses, and anyone else who's in the healthcare sector, because you know, they've already didn't sign up for this huge pandemic. And as I said before, they've all come together to protect our loved ones and ourselves against this huge pandemic. So we thought that, you know, the least that the WHO can do is to ensure that they do get a vaccine first, before anyone else. After we built this coalition, and the other two great things that we have done is that we've published articles on the campaign in The Independent and Al Jazeera. And this has been really amazing, because seeing our campaign and seeing the voices of many doctors on two really, really big newspapers has been really incredible. And last but not least, we've mobilized a huge group of people across the world to stand for health workers and to put health workers first. So these are a lot of people, over 1,000 people that have signed our petition on our website. If you haven't done so, you still have time to do it. And one thing that I really want to say is that every voice counts. So if you think that it's, just one signature, it isn't just one signature. It makes up and it adds up to the number of signatures and to the voices that we already have. So if you haven't done it already, do sign the petition. So this was kind of like a bit of a very quick background on our campaign, and just to update you on everything that we've done so far. But today is a really important day. And the reason why it is really important is because the World Health Assembly started yesterday. And as it started, another great thing happened. And that is that we've received the support of an amazing and leading organization that has been working on the global sphere for a very long time, and that is Global Citizen. So we're really happy to also have their support, because they're a huge organization on the global sphere, and they support the campaign and they support what we're doing. So it's been really amazing. As I was saying, the reason why today is such a big day is because it's the end of this year's World Health Assembly. And if you're wondering why this meeting is so important, the reason is because it has been happening every single year since 1948. But I think that this year it carries out really the weight to change how our future is going to go, really. And so a lot of health workers' future depends on this meeting, and today came to an end. But we really wanted to have a final push on the campaign today, and this is why I'm asking you that if you haven't signed our petition, you go on our website and you do that now. It's because there is still time to have our voice heard by the WHO. And again, I think that the importance of this campaign, I was talking with Colomba about this in the past live, is the fact that it's a campaign that really, it's very close to every single one of us. And the reason why I say that is because most of us know a doctor or a nurse or a healthcare worker. And, if you don't know personally, you go and see them when you're sick. So to me, this is really a way to give back to them for the work that they've done in this pandemic, but really the work that they always do to keep us safe and protected. So today, the WHO had its yearly assembly, and we're still pushing to get more signatures. And we sent a letter to the Director General of the WHO. And again, as I said, it's really, really important that you have your voice heard if this is an issue that concerns you, or if it is something that you care about. So if it is, you can check our website for more information. But it's still not over. Today is still one day, and we really want to do as much as we can to make this happen. So having given you this very, very, very brief but hopefully comprehensive update on our campaign and why today is so important, I wanted to discuss a news that I saw today, and which relates really well with our campaign. And then if there are any questions, I will be checking both Facebook and Instagram, but just bear with me if I don't see the answer straight away. I see that Omer completely agrees with me, and the best part of all of this is that our way to recognize the amazing job that they've done is not always with this pandemic, but always, which is really true. As I said, I think this is a campaign that we all can relate to. And if you don't know a doctor, my best friend is on its way to become a doctor. But if it's not that personal, you will go and see a doctor at some point in your life to even just have normal checks. And having them to get a priority vaccine means that not only they will be safe, but you will be safe when you go and see a doctor. Because if they have the virus, they might not know that they have the virus. And, it's all a circular system that, they can pass it on to you and you can pass it on to someone else. So this is why we think it's so important that they are the first ones to get in. Moving on to the news that I wanted to discuss here, and please, if you have any comment or any thought on this news, do share it with me, because I just even if I'm on a screen, I really would like this to be a discussion. But a news that I wanted to share with you is that something good happened today during the World Health Assembly, and the good news is that all the WHO members have agreed to set up an independent inquiry into the global response to the coronavirus pandemic. We think this is really important. We were so happy when the chief scientist of the WHO welcomed this inquiry during our last digital town hall, because we think that this is really needed. So what the WHO members have agreed on is an impartial, independent, and comprehensive evaluation of the international response. And this is also going to focus on the WHO timeline pertaining to the coronavirus pandemic. And the reason why, sorry, I'm just going to drink some water. The reason why this is so important is because the WHO has faced a lot of criticism for how they've handled this health emergency. And as a team, we've all agreed that the way that they've dealt with this emergency has been really, really poor. I remember that Andrea already talked about this, but I just wanted to give you a bit of a timeline to understand how much more could have been done in a shorter amount of time if the WHO had been more ready, if countries would have collaborated more throughout the process. But basically, just to give you a brief timeline, on December 2019, the New York Times reported that some doctors in Wuhan were being stopped to share the news that something was happening, and they recognized that there was a new disease that they've never seen before. So this was at the beginning of December, and then on December 30th, Taiwan emailed the WHO explaining what was going on, but the email got completely ignored. And then on January the 1st, the WHO shared one tweet saying from China, saying that there was a preliminary investigation conducted by the Chinese authority, and they had found no clear evidence of a human-to-human transmission of what was going to be called coronavirus at the beginning. And so this was on January 1st. And it took it took 2 months for the WHO to call the COVID-19 a pandemic. And at this point, so by March the 11th, when the WHO called the coronavirus a pandemic, already 4,000 people had been killed and over 118,000 had been affected. So this huge timeline, which might not sound like a lot, but 3 months of a pandemic and a virus spreading from country to country is a huge time, and we've seen the amount of deaths that this has caused. So because of this huge timeline, the WHO has received a lot of criticism, and the resolution wants to analyze and wants to have an inquiry about why it took so long and why some warnings from countries were completely ignored. So we're really happy that there is this one good news coming out of the World Health Assembly. And the other good news on coming out of this meeting is that the resolution also called for the world and the world leaders to ensure for a transparent and timely access to any treatment of vaccine. Whilst this is not, this is not what we've asked, it is again a step closer to a positive direction. And this is because if you joined just now, what I said before is that the distribution of vaccine is extremely unfair. So what has happened in the past and what history can teach us is the fact that in the past, whenever a vaccine was found, the richest countries in the world have been able to buy the vaccine. And this means that those countries where there is already perhaps fewer access to hospitals and a healthcare system, and where healthcare systems are not so stable as in some Western and richer countries, those countries have been left behind. And you know, this is already something that is so important to us, and the fact that, you know, we've seen that this virus doesn't stop between one country and the other, which means that, you know, when it came out of China, it didn't stop and you know, said, oh no, I'm not going to go to that country. It's a virus that spreads so fast, and it doesn't look at borders, it doesn't look at countries. So this is why we need to do something more. The WHO needs to ensure that there is an equal distribution, a fair distribution of vaccine, because otherwise the richest countries are going to have the vaccine and the poorest ones are still going to be left behind, but they will still have to deal with the virus. And again, this virus is really different from anything that we've seen before, because you might have it and you might not know that you have it, because a lot of people come out without symptoms. So it is really easy to spread, and having only some countries having all the vaccine will not just be unfair, but would really be stupid, because there is no way that it will stop spreading in other countries if they don't have a vaccine as well. So we're really happy that the WHO has agreed to this resolution that not only calls for an inquiry on their lack of preparation in dealing with this pandemic and the amount of time that they spent between when it was first reported to when it was called a pandemic, but also it calls for world leaders to do more to make the vaccine more accessible for people. So those are the two news that came out from the World Health Assembly that happened yesterday and finished today. And you know, we're really happy about it. One comment that was made by President Trump is that the WHO has acted as the puppet of China. Whilst I don't agree with the terminology, I think that the WHO needs to take responsibility for the lack of preparation that they have. And again, this is the only organization that at the international level focuses on health and health issues. So the lack of preparation that they had on such a pandemic, it explains that at the moment, it is not an organization that it's fit for purpose. And, you know, calling it the puppet of a country, it's not the way that I'm saying, But what I think that we all agree on is the fact that it clearly showed that it needs to be rethought, because having an international organization, again, the only international organization that deals with health issues, that it is not prepared for a pandemic, and that when it receives information about a new disease that is really easily transmittable between people, is not well equipped to call it a pandemic and to actually start acting upon it. I believe that this is an organization that needs to be rethought, that it's not fit for purpose at the moment, and calling for an investigation, for an inquiry that is independent, that not only looks at the lack of preparation to deal with this, but also ensures that in the future, whenever there is a vaccine, it will be more fairly distributed. I think that that's the right thing to do, because, as I said, these are the two big issues I believe the WHO has to deal with right away. Because just to finish, and then I would love if anyone has any question, but this is a huge problem that, we're thinking about the now and what we can do now, but this is a pandemic that, can happen again, can continue in time. We don't know when we're going to have a vaccine realistically. So we need to think about what comes next. And although I really hope that this is the only pandemic that we're going to be dealing with in our lifetime, it might not be. We've seen how easily this started and spread, and we don't know whether it can happen again at any point soon. So this was a long way to say that I'm really happy about the independent inquiry that has been called by all the WHO members. But I really hope that this brings something new, because I strongly believe that the WHO right now, it is not fit for purpose. So I don't know if you have any comment on that. I see that Andrea agrees with me, which I'm really happy about. But if anyone has any question or anything like that, do let me know. I will just quickly check on Facebook as well. But yeah, to be honest, I think that that is one big thing that I forgot about, rethinking global cooperation. I think that that's a huge point that leaders have to tackle right now, and is the fact that, as I said, not only the WHO is not fit for purpose at the moment, but also countries are neglecting help from other countries, and this can really save time and ensure that whenever a country is better equipped to deal with something, their voice is heard, and they would be able to share their knowledge with other countries. So I think that the idea of as Andrea said, rethinking global cooperation is what we really need now, because having a pandemic like this, if it has taught us something, is the fact that there are a lot of global issues that are indeed global, and that will not stop at a border, but they will continue to spread, whether it's this pandemic or whether it's climate change. These are problems that do not just attack a country. They are shared with everyone. So for sure, one thing that we need to consider is how we act and how we cooperate from countries to countries, and not only within regional organizations, so not only within the EU or the African Union or anything else, but really from any country to any country. Colomb asks me if I think that the WHO should and can be saved. I think it can be saved, And I honestly think it should be saved. The reason why I'm saying this is because I think that we need we need more powers in those international organizations, because we've seen with a lot of countries and a lot of issues that we cannot rely for one countries to decide to be nice and cooperate with one another. And I really think that international organizations should be given more powers. And the reason is because they should be able to say, for example, in this particular pandemic, they should be able to say every single country, every single health worker in any countries, regardless of their nationality, will have access to a COVID-19 vaccine. And this should just be the way it is. It shouldn't be that then world leaders have a say on it, world leaders discuss on it. That's not how I personally think that should be. I think that international organization should be more neutral. They shouldn't be relying on one specific country. They should have the power to have a neutral say and make decisions that are enforceable. Because at the end of the day, all these international organizations are made up of the majority of states in the world, meaning that you do have a say at the table, but the final decision is a decision that it's made all together, but then it can be enforced. And I think that, for example, just to think that the US is the biggest donor for the WHO, and now it has said that it will suspend the funding for the WHO. I think that's crazy, because how are we gonna? This is the worst time ever. We have a pandemic going on, and for the biggest donor to say that it will suspend funding because they believe that the organization is a puppet for another country, I think that's just crazy. And it shows how international organizations should be more neutral. They should not depend on one countries to have funds in order to operate. So long story short, I think that the WHO should be saved. I hope it can, but I think that to be able to be saved, it really needs to undergo an internal process on how to make this organization an independent one. Sorry, I get really passionate about this topic, because I really do believe in the importance of having a neutral body that helps countries to better work together. But unfortunately, I have been really disappointed by a lot of international organizations, because I strongly believe that at the moment, they are not fit for purpose. They might have been fit for purpose when they were first created, but right now we're just seeing one organizations after the other being, a puppet for one countries, two countries, and they're usually also tend to be the richest countries, Western countries, Western but really richest. And I think that this is the biggest problem of international organizations, that you cannot call yourself international if then you do not represent the the problems, the issues, and everything else of any other country in the world. So to me, knowing that an international organization like the WHO relies hugely on the on the US to have the funds to keep operating is just ridiculous, because it tells you most likely the effect that this has on poorer countries. So that is my take on international organizations. I have one other question from Colombe. I know that she's really passionate about this as well, so thankfully she has questions. Do you think that we should have elections from citizens to the UN or any other institution to make sure they represent the world and not just a few countries? I think 100%. We, as I said, I think that the world right now is really unfair for countries that are not in the either Western bubble or in the richest bubble. So, and I speak as an Italian who lives in London, and really believes in the power of international organizations. But I think that right now they don't represent the population whatsoever. I think that small countries do not have a say, and you kind of like almost have to wait for an international organization to ask your opinion in order for a smaller country to be heard. And I think that this is ridiculous. I think that if we have international organizations, by the name, they should be international, and we cannot we cannot have one big countries really taking on this international name and just making sure that and just making sure that their own interests and their own profits are going to be secured, whilst all the other countries are left behind. So I think we should definitely the UN is another organization that needs to go under a process of renovation, if we want to call it like that, because I think that having, for example, in the UN Security Council, having 5 permanent members that have always been the same since the UN Security Council was created, it is really ridiculous, because there's 5 member states also are the richest ones, are the richest countries, and they all end up to be in that bubble. And for smaller countries like Tunisia to have a say in the UN Security Council, they just sit there and have to wait for the UN Security Council to basically do a lottery and decide that this year and next year, Tunisia is going to have a say at the UN Security Council table. So whilst I strongly believe that the UN, similarly to the WHO, are really powerful organizations and they can really be used for so much good, right now they just go against their funding, the reasons why they were funded. And just the name international organization to me it doesn't apply anymore here, because again, it's just the show of 5, 6, 7 countries that continue to have their say in a lot of issues, and the rest of the world needs to just sit down and listen to what these countries have to say. So I think that the UN should be a much more democratic process, which is not right now, and it should really have a say, and people really should have a say in what the UN or the WHO make decision on. So again, that was like another little rant about international organization. But I see Omar saying national priorities are being more important in international organizations. They don't represent the humanity. I couldn't say it better, because I strongly believe that right now they do not, international organizations simply do not represent the population, and we are just forgetting of a huge part of the world that is always left behind. And going back to now, I think that this is why to me, having something like now that focuses on global issues, but also thinks about issues that are local but are also global, and thinks about how their members can have a say on this. This is really important, because to me, having international organizations like the UN that do not represent the population, we could scrap them, because they are entirely undemocratic at the moment. And I see that Andrea and Colombe are asking, if I can be president of the world. I would love that. I think, it's been my dream since I was probably 8 years old. I said to my parents that I wanted to be the president of the world. So that kind of, shows the story of my life. But yes, I'm going to conclude just saying that I hope you're liking and you've liked everything that we've done so far with the health workers first campaign. I personally have loved and I'm loving every single moment of it, because even if I'm not a doctor myself, I respect these people that have been on the front line since day one. And again, remembering that they have not signed up to be doctors in the middle of a pandemic, but they've really come together and show their support and work for us to be protected. So I hope that you've loved it as much as we are loving it. If you haven't signed our petition yet, please go on our website and do that. And just check out any other campaign that we have going on at the moment. The central team is working really, really hard on all the campaigns. We're rethinking them. We're making it more applicable to a global level, but to a local level as well. If you have any suggestions, please do send them through. And if I ever run for president of the world, do vote for me. But that is everything on my side. I hope to see you all at the event that we have tomorrow, a virtual town hall with a doctor that has been on the front line in the US for this pandemic. It's gonna be live streamed here on Instagram, but to have the link, you need to sign up on our website. So do check it. Check the website, register for the event, and Andrea is going to be hosting the event tomorrow. So make sure to come online and check it out. It's been really nice talking to you all, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.